Welcome to Parish and Community. My special guest today is Chris Peimann, who is the Director of Advancement for the Sheldon Concert Hall. So, Chris, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Angela.
So, how did you come to work for the Sheldon?
Actually, St. Louis U played a big part in it, actually. I was a student there from 1994 to 1998 and in the communications department, which had a wonderful, and I'm sure still does, internship program. And I interned at a couple places around St. Louis, but my final internship was down the street at the St. Louis Symphony. And I had always been involved in music. I loved performing, could not do it on a professional level. But in doing that internship, I realized that I could combine my marketing skills I was learning at SLU with my love for music. And when I graduated, a marketing assistant job opened at the Sheldon, which is just a block from the Symphony. I didn't know too much about the Sheldon at the time, but I got to know Grand Center and all the great arts and entertainment options that are here in the neighborhood, and applied at the Sheldon, knowing that they did these amazing concerts in a perfectly acoustic setting, and got the job right after graduating, and I've been here since. So it was a true neighborhood connection.
That's fantastic. And you've gotten a few years under your belt there then, if it was 96 or so. Wow. Okay. What are your duties as Director of Advancement? How do you advance the Sheldon?
Well, that is a great question. I oversee the marketing and the fundraising aspects of the Sheldon. The advancement title is a little bit new. I was Director of Marketing and Publicity for the last 13 years. Actually 15 years, and I just kind of took over the fundraising duties in the last few weeks.
The last few weeks, okay.
But our departments have always worked closely together. So
sure.
I oversee all of the communications, whether it be the advertisements for our concerts, communications that go out to teachers for our education programs, letters and solicitations to donors, and just helping maintain those relationships. That's my favorite part of working here, are the people that I get to meet and interact with and talk about music and art with. So my job is really just maintaining those relationships and helping communicate what the Sheldon is doing to all of those different groups.
So the Sheldon is a nonprofit itself then, right?
We're a nonprofit organization, and of course ticket sales and renting out our facility for weddings and other events is a big part of our income, but we really rely on donations from individuals and corporations and other generous folks in town. And over this past year that we've all in the performing arts and everywhere have had such a challenge, our donors have really been our lifeline and support for us. So it's amazing.
Wow. You mentioned the educational programs. Tell me a little bit more about that, because I'm not sure folks realize. I know I wasn't aware that they do educational programs there.
Absolutely, it's one of our biggest missions here, is to help educate kids in music and art as well. Those are our future art supporters and concert goers, and just like many of us, we can't necessarily perform, but we can appreciate. And so we have education programs for kids in jazz, folk, classical, world music, and Broadway music. We also have education programs on our gallery side in photography and visual art and all sorts of fun ways to get creative with kids. And then we have a whole program based on STEAM, science, technology, engineering, math, and the arts. So all of these programs work together to help kids understand music better, use their understanding of music and art to go out into the world and do whatever they want to do with that knowledge and that basis. And we serve usually around 30,000 kids a year. This past year with the pandemic, all of our education concerts and workshops went virtual.
Oh, wow.
And we served over 70,000 kids.
Oh, wow.
So we're, as much as we love having kids come and experience a concert here, come and attend a gallery exhibit, being able to do it virtually helps us reach a lot more kids too. So I'm sure that's something we'll continue kind of doing both in person and online.
Now, you just mentioned that you are a grad of SLU, as I am. And when we started having a conversation about getting you in for this interview, you mentioned to me that you love coming back to College Church. So tell me about what draws you back.
I love College Church so much. And not only have I been lucky enough to be working in the neighborhood, that I got to go to school in, but I just still live down the street. I'm still in the same zip code, so haven't changed that. But College Church is just such a community. It is so community oriented. I've had the privilege to volunteer with the Winter Inn.
Oh, yeah.
It's, one of just a wonderful outreach program that the church does, of course. And it reminds me how, even as a student, when you attend there, you realize there's something different about that community. There's something different about the people there. They're all so engaged in St. Louis, in making it a better place, in using the community of the church as a springboard for those kind of activities. And that's why I got into wanting to work in a non-for-profit. I wanted to do something that helped the community. And, just my time at College Church really fostered that too. So I love returning there. I love being an adult returning there and still getting that same feeling of community and service and just engagement with the world around us.
Well, we're always glad to have you back. Now, tell me about the Sheldon's response to the pandemic. You mentioned a little bit with the educational component. What are some of the other coping mechanisms as a live venue that you have put into place?
As you and I were kind of joking about before we talked, Zoom and the internet have become our best friends. We were able to live stream a ton of concerts from our concert hall, of course, with lots of safety precautions in place. But with even just like an engineer in the back of the hall and musicians on stage, we were able to put concerts out almost every week from about October through May. It took a few months to sort of figure out, how do we stream? What are the rules? How do we do this? But once we kind of got that under our belt, it became something we were able to do regularly. And again, we're able to reach so many more people than we would have in person. We have a 700-seat concert hall, but thousands of people can watch online. So that was kind of our big change and our big switch is going to all virtual concerts. Our art galleries were able to be open from July of last year on. Galleries were one of the first things, and museums that the CDC said was safe to visit. You're not supposed to touch anything anyway. So, you could easily kind of distance people, and we started doing timed visits and reservations for tickets to the galleries, but that also worked out really well, and we were able to welcome people in for some wonderful gallery exhibits. Including our Golf the Gallery exhibit, which is an artist-designed miniature golf course inside the galleries. That happened last summer, and we're doing it again this summer. So people can come and play golf at the Sheldon in an artistic atmosphere. But really, it was just, that combination of having small, timed events like our gallery events, along with virtual concerts, that really just kept us going. As I mentioned, our donors really are what kept us going financially, but our visitors and the folks who watched with us online really kept us going emotionally and spiritually. Have gotten through it without them. So we feel very lucky. I think we were able to pivot and kind of be a little more flexible than some places are able to. So.
Yeah. It's not an easy thing to do, but it sounds like that you've been carrying on as well as you can in the face of things. So I understand we've mentioned Grand Center a couple of times, and you're pretty well ensconced. I've also seen some recommendations you've done online, and as somebody, I myself have moved back to St. Louis just very recently, and I'm ready to find some spots. So where would you recommend around Grand Center that I should check out these days?
I love this question because I love Grand Center. I actually obviously haven't gone far in 20 some years. One of my favorite places to see a show once they start getting back into their regular schedule is at Jazz at the Bistro. It's just across the street from the Fox in Strauss Park, which is a beautiful green space right at Grand in Washington. They do national, local, and international jazz concerts almost every weekend in the fall, winter, and spring. And you really feel like you're somewhere else. You're in a big city jazz club, and it's just a wonderful experience. The music is always great. It's a beautiful, beautiful club. So a lot of times I'll get done, working on a concert here and try to jump over to Jazz at the Bistro and get in a few songs at the last set. I know they have great student prices too, so that's always great for the students at SLU to know about. I love all the green spaces that are coming along in Grand Center. The Pulitzer Art Museum, which is right next door to us, has a beautiful green space across the street on Washington from their museum, and it's called Park Like. And it is a beautiful oasis in the middle of our wonderful urban setting here. You walk in and you're surrounded by wildflowers and there's bunnies and there's butterflies, and it's just a really beautiful natural again, oasis, just when you need that little break and want to really feel like you're getting away, but only have to cross the street. And then my final thing I'd love to recommend is at the On God Hotel, just north on Grand, right next to the St. Louis Symphony. They have a beautiful rooftop bar and restaurant. It's one of the best views of downtown St. Louis and the Arch that you'll get. And it's just a lovely place to stop and have a drink before or after a show, or before or after Mass, or whatever you're attending at College Church. But it's just been a really great addition to the neighborhood. And I think that, again, just all these places kind of foster, I think, that same thing we've been talking about, just a place for people to come together, to gather, to celebrate our city and celebrate our neighborhood.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Chris. This has been a great conversation. I really appreciate it.
Well, I thank you so much. It's been fun, and I'd love to see you all at the Sheldon. Thank you so much.